you know, it's been 4 years, the journey for this football team. You know, never played in a championship game before. It's really the first ever, you know, especially in the ACC. And I think, you know, such a tremendous city of Charlotte that we get the opportunity to play it in an unbelievable conference. I think the best conference in the country. You know, we're excited. We're ready to go, and I guess we'll leave it open for questions.
Okay, questions, raise your hand, let us know who you are, who you're with, and wait for the handheld mic, please. Who has the first question? Middle of the room.
Rich Walsh, KDK-TV. Pat, not only for the football program, what does this mean for the university, the fan base, the city, you guys being here?
You know, I think it means everything to the city of Pittsburgh. You think about some of the tragic events, you know, probably about a month ago. You know, I think, you know, everybody's looking for some good news stories to go out with some bad news stories. And, you know, you talk about being Pittsburgh strong. I think it means a lot. And, you know, unfortunately, I'm stuck in the little cocoon of the Durant Center, and you really don't feel the outside world much. You know, we have breakfast there, lunch there, dinner there. You know, you go home and everybody's sleeping. But so I don't know how the outside city's feeling, but I guarantee you the University of Pittsburgh's buzzing. You know, I'm sure enrollment will blow up. You know, there'll be 2 million plus viewers watching this game. So it means a lot to the former Panthers that played here, to all the Pittsburgh alum, you know, throughout the United States.
Sure, right.
Hey, Chris Heidel from Purpose Radio in Baltimore. Just talk about Pickett. You know, what does he have to do tomorrow night with the weather condition? It's going to be probably like a monsoon out there.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Are you a weatherman too, Chris?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the weather's gotten, you know, but I know both teams have got to go through it. So whether it's, you know, Kenny Pickett or Trevor Lawrence, they both got to go through the same conditions. And you know, I think we're prepared for that. I think we've played through a couple monsoons, and you know, we've been there, done that. Kenny Pickett's got to play his game, just like, you know, the other 10 guys on offense and the other 11 guys on defense, and any guy that's, you know, honored enough to step on the field, special teams wise, they got to play, you know, their football game, and they got to be detailed and focused, and all the other things you ask, whether it's sunny and 82 or 57 and 90% chance of hail.
To our left.
Pete Yacodelli, Associated Press. Pat, what was the how did you like practice this week, and what was the mindset of the guys as you head to Charlotte?
Yeah, Pete, practice was, you know, as normal, and, you know, and you sit there and think that you're going to get maybe something different. It's championship week. But, you know, that's been our football team, and really any football team I've been around. I think if you got a football team that practices like this, hey, it's a big game this week, we're going to be here. I didn't notice anything different, to be honest with you. You know, sometimes you wish you did see maybe something a little bit different, but, you know, based on everything I've seen, you know, it's status quo, the way our kids prepare mentally and physically. And, you know, I know there's been a lot of attention to the details, watching videotape. Maybe there's been a little bit more of that. But even with that, they have their iPads, so, you know, they go away to their room, they lay in bed at night and watch videotape. So it's a different world back when you and me played.
Again, middle of the room.
Pat, can you use anything from that 2016 game for this game?
Well, I think you can, but you know, 2016 is really irrelevant. What happened that year, who played in that game, and, you know, what happened to us and what happened to them. I mean, you know, you can look at what we did on the field that day schematically. And I think, you know, Clemson, you know, offensively and defensively have the same coaches there, so it's stuff that they like to do. So you take a lot of what they did that year and had success doing it on both sides of the ball, and you look and say, we're going to see similar stuff. You see similar stuff this year. And it's going to come to the one-on-one matchups and how we execute.
Second round.
Brian Batko, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Pat, you talked this week sort of about the players, and it's the biggest game in their careers. You've coached in these in the Big Ten, but I mean, as a head coach, first-time championship game, are there any kind of nerves for you coming into this one?
I think there's nerves for kids, there's nerves for coaches, there's nerves as a player. You know, I'm nervous before every game. You know, I don't usually talk to the media on Friday. Usually it's Thursday afternoon, I'm done. I can kind of go like this, here, you know what I'm saying, and be done with it. I'm kind of a grumpy guy on Friday, so it's you know, it's 24 hours out or a little bit more, and you know, there's always nerves. If you don't have nerves, you probably aren't ready.
Right in front of you, Coach.
Pat, Gary McDaniel, Clemson Sports News. When you look at your schedule and your team's results defensively, and you look at the teams you played this year, can you find someone there comparably that you could say is kind of like a Clemson as far as offensive scheme and attack?
You tell me, you're the Clemson guy. I say no. I'd say probably the closest, we've faced some pretty good football teams now. So it's not like we've played, the Sisters of the Poor, but when you look at Notre Dame, they're right now potentially another, playoff team, I think, and we played them probably as good as anybody did in the country. And I haven't followed their results, but I don't know if anybody played them that good. I know Syracuse did. I was hoping they would play them a little bit better. I thought they would. You look at Central Florida, I don't know if anybody would want to play them in the country. I've said that to several people through, I think I'd rather go play Notre Dame than Central Florida. I think, and again, also send out best wishes to Mackenzie and his injury. It's unfortunate in this game of football, especially for, a great kid like that. I said something to him after the game, saying, tell your coach not to run you so much, so you feel bad when things like that happen. He's an athletic guy. Sometimes that happens with those scrambling quarterbacks, but they're a good football team as well. Penn State's a talented football team as well. So we've been through a journey in Pittsburgh a little bit different than maybe Clemson's been. We have, we've had some bumps in the roads. Our guys won 5 of the last 7 games. To get to this game today, we've earned it to come here, and we played some pretty good football teams through the season.
Last row.
Guarantee you that.
Phil Kornblum, South Carolina Radio Network. What did you take in from looking at Clemson's game film against South Carolina last week, especially what South Carolina did with some of their formations on offense that led to their big offensive night?
Well, they did some nice things. I mean, Will Muschamp, obviously a great football coach and got a great staff, and did some things offensively to mix them up. And I think that's what you got to do with Clemson. You got to give them some different looks. If you just line up and try to line up toe to toe with them, maybe it doesn't work out so well. Obviously, you still have to do that. It can't be trick them all day. But they did a great job and took advantage of some things, and see what we can do.
Second row to our right.
Jerry DePaul, Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Pat, you got 19 seniors, I believe. How important is it to have that kind of maturity, that kind of experience, so these guys don't get overwhelmed by the big stage?
I think it's real important. We've got some mature guys, on both sides of football. When you look at Dennis Briggs and Quick Virginis, and Quadri Olson will also be one of our game captains with Alex Booker on offense. We've got guys, we've got leadership, and leadership will take over because coaches won't be on the field with these guys. So they're gonna. And I think after the first play of the game, it'll there's no more nerves. It's game time. It's like playing Pop Warner football all over again.
Front row to our left.
Hey Pat, David Hale with ESPN. I was recalling that I think it was 3 years ago I was in this room when the news came out about James being diagnosed with cancer, and I'm curious if you have heard from him this week with a message for your team, and what his lasting legacy with your program has been in the time that he's been away.
Yeah, James is an important guy to this program, and James texted me good luck and all that stuff. But James is University of Pittsburgh. He's one of our guys. He's obviously really important to what we've done. We play for James still. He plays in our backyard. Obviously, he's having a great season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So James is with us, and James helped build what we're doing today. I mean, this didn't just happen in a year. This has been a 4-year process, and every senior that's gone through this program the last 4 years knows this is a goal that we've had. It's something that we walk down our steps, down to our training room, down to our locker room, down to our weight room, and walk back up to our team meeting rooms in the coach's office. There's a picture of the Charlotte Stadium here, Panther Stadium, which is where we wanted to be. And our kids are thinking about that every day when they walk up and down those steps. That's the stadium we want to be in, and now we're here. James is a big part of that.
Hey Pat, when did you know you have a special team this year? Was it between that rain delay and home against Syracuse, or you guys went to Notre Dame?
I think we had a special team like 4 years ago. That's kind of who I am. I think we've had a special team every year. The people are what make a team special. And I've got a love for every kid that I've coached. For the last 4 years. This is a special team because it's right now, and it's right here, right now in Charlotte, and these kids have put the work in to get here. And not every kid can get that done. These kids have been persistent. They've been on a mission. Since that Syracuse game, whatever it may be, they've been on a mission to get what they wanted, and we broke down on ACC champs for a long time, and now we got a chance to be there and do that against a great football team in Clemson. So, is anybody gonna fix that speed filter?
Sure. Up right.
Hey Coach, Fred Williams, KDK TV out of Pittsburgh. I was at your luncheon right before the season started, and I remember your remarks. And your last remarks you said before you left the stage was, "I'll see you in Charlotte." And there was a few chuckles in the room. Now you're here in Charlotte.
Yeah,
You know,
I wish I
don't
remember
stay
saying
there.
that. I wish I remember saying that.
We have tape.
I'm gonna have to get video of that. But, you know, I guess, you know, things happen for a reason. You know, some people said, you know, last year, you know, 2017 season at Miami game at halftime, just making some statements and say, my wife says, you know, you say a lot of things sometimes, but, you know, we're here. I guess there was some chuckles. I didn't hear them, but, you know, I didn't feel it, and we are here. So I'm glad I didn't make any predictions either.
Other questions? Back row. Here comes the mic.
Matt Connolly with the State newspaper. Pat, Clemson's here, 4th consecutive year, going for their 4th consecutive title. Just what do you make of their success in the league, and do you feel like there's a gap between them and the rest of the league right now?
I think there is a gap. I mean, you know, they're the benchmark of ACC football. I think there's a lot of great teams in the ACC. Dabo's done an incredible job. I've got a lot of respect for him, you know, and what he's done, how he's done it. He's done it the right way. I think he's a stand-up guy, and you know, I think if you look at most conferences, it's the same way. There's always that 1 or 2 teams that are really controlling the conference. I mean, look at Alabama, look at Clemson, look at, you know, really Ohio State and Michigan State the last couple of years. You would think that they've been there. But I mean, there's always that case, and that's kind of what you work for. That's where we want to be. And you know, the only way you do that is go out and beat them, and then, you know, things start to build that way. But they're a great football team, and you know, got a lot of respect about how they've done it.
Upper right corner, coach.
Matt Dowell, Watch Fox out of Columbia. Coach, against a team like this, how important is getting off to a good start and staying with them early with an atmosphere and kind of everything on the line?
Yeah, I think, you know, it'll be a big Clemson crowd. I guarantee you that, just being a drive up the road. But it's going to be important, a fast start. Now again, we can have a slow start and still get it done. You know, I never sit there and say, guys, we've got to get a fast start, or you know, watch out. We've done that all year. We've come back, you know, whether it was, you know, clinching, you know, we're down at Wake Forest, you know, a couple weeks ago, and came back and won that game. So we've done it. It doesn't matter. There's going to be adversity in that game. There's going to be ups and downs, and we don't care how it starts or how it finishes. You know, we're going to keep fighting for 60 minutes.
Back row.
Brendan Marks from the Charlotte Observer. You mentioned that Clemson is sort of the benchmark for ACC football now. What would you say is it about this particular group that differentiates them from some of the years past?
You know what, I don't look at all the years past, and I remember 2 years ago, I mean, they're just a talented football team. I mean, I think, you know, there's coaching, everybody's got a coach, and Dabo does a tremendous job, period. He's got a great staff, he's got continuity on the staff, he's got great leadership, you know, I'm sure with their president and on down. So he's got everything he needs to be a champion. They've got great players, you know, they're down south, they recruit some of the best. They're able to get all those 4- and 5-star football players, and you know, and he can coach them too. There's some places that get a lot of 4- and 5-star guys that can't coach them. So he's got a great personality about him. He's a businessman, and you know, like I said, I couldn't say better things about Dabo Swinney.
Other questions? Second row to our right.
Amanda Phillips at Godsey, Johnstown Tribune Democrat. How has your offensive line practiced this week? I know that you and Kenny had both said there were some issues with the shuffling of the line against Miami.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, I think anytime, you know, you lose one of your starting offensive linemen that's, you know, started, I don't know how many games straight, but at least 2 years straight, and Jimmy Morrissey, when you lose your guy up front, you know, your starting center, there's going to be some, you know, some growing pains there. And, you know, you move a guard over to center and a new guard in there. There's communications, and those guys are, you know, a group that have to work together. And I think in anything you do, there's sometimes I don't have to tell, you know, our offense coordinator, defense coordinator what to do, because we kind of speak the same language. And anytime there's a new guy coming in, it's kind of like, well, hey, make sure we do this. So there's some things that didn't have to be communicated up front before, because they all knew it was kind of a known deal. And now you got a new guy in there that has to be recommunicated and retaught over and over again. So it's obviously, you know, it was an issue last week. We hope, you know, a week removed, you know, a week of coaching, that we can hopefully clean up some of those problems we had a week ago.
second row.
Pat, simply being in this game, playing on December 1st, facing Clemson in a primetime game, 8 o'clock kickoff, what kind of effect can that have on recruiting? What kind of impact can that do for you guys?
We lost a week of recruiting, so you hope playing in this game does something for you in recruiting. But I think every young man in high school would like to go have an opportunity to play for a championship. And one of the reasons I took the job at the University of Pittsburgh, because I thought with the Chancellor Pat Gallagher, who I'm appreciative for the opportunity that he's given me to be the head football coach here back when he hired me, and Heather Like, I thank her as well. But you want a place that you can win a championship, and with the support from them. The tools we have in Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania football, you got an opportunity to do that here. And I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think we could be in Charlotte playing in this game at one point. It's been a program goal. As I said, it's one of our 4 goals that we wanted to attain, as a head football coach, and we're able to play for a championship tomorrow. And I think it's a major thing. I think it helps in recruiting for sure, Brian.
Far left.
Coach Pete Yanity from WSPA TV. Being in a different division, I would think you probably haven't seen Clemson on film all that much this year, just because you only cross over with 2 games. But when you have seen them, and now you've obviously been hyper-focused on them, getting ready for the game, what are just some of the things that jump out to you when you see a guy like Lawrence, the quarterback, and the defensive lineman? And I know you're familiar with them, but you've gotten maybe as up close of a look at them this week than maybe all year.
No doubt about it. But usually when you watch them, in a crossover game, you're not focused on them, you're focused on the other team and what they're doing to Clemson. But when you have a close-up look at them, and I'm sure we'll get a closer look. I talked to a few coaches throughout the country that played them personally that said, I talked about Trevor's release. I think it's one of the best releases. It just like comes out, and he said it's even faster when you see him live. So you're impressed at really all levels of what they have done in every position. Their D-line is a bunch of first-rounders that cause havoc in the backfield. They've caused havoc against everybody. So we're going to have to control and block them up front to have success Saturday.
Pat, I know you want to keep things the same, but is it hard not to treat this differently, this experience, this game?
Well, I'm going to keep it the same. I don't know if the kids are. So, Richie, I don't know if I can answer that, but it is the same. But our kids are pumped up because it's a championship game. They know this is what you play for, to have these opportunities to play in a big game like that. So it is a little bit different than our opener against Albany, I can tell you that. But it's still a game. It's still 60 minutes long. There's 100-yard field, and we got to move down the field and get in the end zone. We got to stop them from getting in our end zone. So it's still a football game, and it's still 60 minutes long. But it's every game's a little bit different as far as who you're playing and where you're playing. It's a championship game, and obviously a little bit different.
To your left, Coach.
Coach Steve Reed with the Associated Press. Obviously big underdogs. What would you say to all those people out there that are not giving you any chance to win?
No comment. I don't know. Hey, the game is played, and I think anybody can beat anybody on any given day, period. We all know that. We can take all the measurables, and we can talk about guys that are this tall and this tall. But the one thing I don't think you can really measure is what's inside that heart. And our kids are going to play with a lot of heart. They're going to play with a lot of effort. And, in Pittsburgh, we have a lot of toughness there, and that's what we expect to get out of our football team. And I make no guarantees.
Other questions?
Got that?
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.